How long has it been? How long? Well, about 70 years. 70 years since he's was brought into this new world. 70 years since. And now he's Godzilla. When he first arrived and first became the Kaiju King, he looked just like the original 54 Godzilla from that movie. But his size has increased. He is now the 100-meter tall Heisei Godzilla. It was a new change. Kind of growing between 70 years is something interesting. You know, when he thought he was getting older, maturing. But in reality, that was quite the opposite. He still felt quite young. Compared to other Godzillas, and there are many memories that he's now trying to complement and process of being a host to an entity that is the embodiment of radiation, which is Godzilla, is. Funny question about that. Having multiple memories to pull out from sources is a lot. In 70 years, that's tiny compared to even the generally decent amount. If anything, if you would say how old he's in Godzilla years, he is an infant. Yeah. Compared to a human, he would be an elderly person. Hooray! But compared to the Godzillas and the Kaijus and monsters, he's quite young. In fact, probably the youngest. Or close enough. Since the oxygen destroyer's first usage, he has primarily tried to stay out of humanity's limelight, staying hidden. He's only ever made scarce appearances. As in scarce, he means scarce. Izuku didn't want to be shown, nor did he want to really cause mass panic like he did. So instead, he decided to make his appearances short, scarce, and deal with any situation that needs to be dealt with. Which was almost none. Now, the monsters that are coming out of the woodwork are something different. The kaijus. Those would be problems. But there are now more. So much more. And that's kind of becoming a problem. Like, there was this one type kaiju. A firebird demon. Rodan. Similarly, having an ability to break the sound barrier, flight capabilities, and a secondary ability of harnessing heat and flames, or just melting temperatures in general. Yeah, that's quite infamous. There are some other ones, like Gorgosaurus, Manda, Kamanga, and a couple others. And probably many more in Ebera. Yeah, a lot. A lot of monsters that are seemingly just here. Pretty bad for business, right? Yeah. And now he's sleeping in the bottom of the ocean. To be honest, he's slept for what? Maybe 20, 30 years? Almost 50. almost 50 years, almost 70 years that he's been around, been alive in this life. He hasn't done much. And to be honest, that's okay. But now he looks like the Heisei Godzilla from the Heisei series. 100 meters tops. That's just his height. Length, man, anything else, he's quite long. But he was sleeping. Definitely sleeping and trying to get rest. As Suzuki proceeded to sleep, he proceeded to remembering, sleeping. Memories just flashed within his mind, seeing his classmates, friends, everyone knows who he deemed close, and All Might, and Mom. Oh, how he missed them all. The boy proceeded to see this. Everyone proceeded to look at him. Why didn't you do more? As All Might proceeded to simply say, All Might, you were chosen as my successor and you failed. This is when his mother proceeded to appear besides All Might on his other side. Why didn't you fight harder? You have everything you needed. Was everything I did not enough for you? Mom, no, that's not true. Bakugo proceeded to step in, proceeding to scowl. All that power, all that strength. You had a quirk like none other, and you wasted it. Pathetic deku. You had everything. Training. The care of a mother. All Might by your side. And you still failed. You said you were going to save people for Smile. Todoroki proceeded to walk forward. But you failed. You failed to save everyone. You couldn't even stop Shigaraki. That's not true. I was able to stop him. But you all... Ida proceeded to say, you said that you were going to be the #1 hero. You said you were going to do justice. Just bring people to justice. Show them hope. Is this hope? He proceeded to looking over at showing him the destroyed city of Japan. Many places that he used to remember filled with hero memorabilia and life. People in fear, crying, shaking, and pain. More of his classmates proceeded to come forward, scolding him, belittling him, calling him names. Izuku proceeded to feel himself zoning out. Every close person he's ever known, cared, was coming after his head now. The last person who would be here would be Uraraka. She walked forward. You had everything you needed. Friends, power, and the will. But yet you failed. You failed to do the one thing that you were given, the one thing that you were chosen to do. Save people. You couldn't save anyone. You couldn't save any of us. How can you call yourself a hero if you can't save one person? It doesn't matter about who the people you saved in the past. Did they get a chance to really live? Because the next moment, not even a few months later, everything went to hell. Why? Because you were around. You took up the mantle. I thought you would understand. I thought you, out of all people, would know the responsibilities. You're the one who took All Might's quirk, after all. But it doesn't seem like you know about that one either. You took the quirk and thought you can be like the rest of us. But no, you couldn't be like the rest of us here because you're not like the rest of us. You were quirkless once before, given a power like none other, and you failed. The responsibility that power led to, that was given to you, the ultimate goal, you had the chance to stop him, but instead you were flaring around, breaking your bones, hurting yourself. So when you could have been stronger. All the times people were put in danger, what did you do? You either feared, cried out, were too scared, or you would move, making a risky move and breaking your own bones, then putting not just yourself, but more people in danger. Why did All Might even choose you? Out of everyone he could have chose, he chose you. Why? You were chosen, and yet you failed. You failed at doing the one thing that mattered most. You failed at saving people. You failed at really helping them. How can you call yourself a hero? I guess everyone was really right about you. You really are just a deku. Not even someone who can do it. No. You're useless. You're the useless, quirkless, loser deku. That's all you ever were. And that's all you ever will be. A loser. Uzuka proceeded to panic. That's not true. I've tried. I pushed myself. I've broken my body multiple times to save others' lives. He saw more and more people that he didn't know, more people that he didn't recognize, people that genuinely called out for him, who needed his help. No, wait. He proceeded to panic. Like he was stepping back, taking several steps back. No, you have to understand. I really did try. You have to believe me. I really did. He took another step back. This time he proceeded to fall. Huh? Screaming out as he was panicking. The moment he splashed into water, he couldn't breathe. He struggled to breathe, thrashing around, screaming as bubbles proceeded to form. I can't breathe. No. Please. I can't. I'm sorry. He woke up. He proceeded to panic, wondering where he was. Where the hell am I? He looked around, recognizing he was on the bottom of the ocean. Was that all a dream? Looking at his hands, his clawed hands, so the familiar black shaped like scales. Rippling skin like scales. Oh. Right. So it wasn't a dream. That actually happened. Huh. You proceed to wonder, pondering. That actually happened. Or, no, it didn't. It didn't happen. That was a nightmare. He woke, proceeding to get up, deciding to get up. He was exhausted and tired. He needed to move. Right. He's a giant atomic nuclear lizard. So that can shoot radiation like energy out of his mouth. isn't actually have to do anything. He proceeded to start swimming up as his silver white dorsal plates proceeded to flash blue just once. The white dorsal plates were large, maple shape, the familiar sign of his, well, what he was. Clearly, the black inner pattern was nice. It's like a black splotch in the middle of the silver dorsal plate. Or was it white? He couldn't tell. Every time he looked at his back, they were just there. I can't believe his body evolved to the Heisei Godzilla. It was one thing that shocked him. The more energy he absorbed, the stronger he got, and then he just changed. It was a weird. But compared to anything else, weird is just a norm. I guess. Weird is just another day. What could be more weirder? Right? He continued on. He needed to make his way out of here. That volcanic event that he was sleeping next to did well for his food supply of this radioactive energy that was leaking out from the planet's core, but it wasn't enough. He needed to find a better source of food and power so he can actually feed very well to keep his giant metabolism or energy body sustainable. Because the larger he got, the more energy he needed to burn. And that calls for food. He can sleep for decades and blah blah blah, but heck, he would need to feed afterwards, not long. He still needs, like, something. At least the only thing that's keeping him grounded. Food. But there was one problem with that. Right. He needs to go to the surface. And that's the last thing he wanted to do. Really heading out of international waters into national waters was not something that he really wanted to try out. Nor did he ask to try out too. Better if he would just take the hit. He proceeded to swim through the ocean. He needed to find something at least a radioactive cave or some sort of a larger exposed vent that he can use. Just is not occupied. He continued to swimming through the ocean. All that was needed was food. Food. He immediately stopped. He felt something was watching him. He stopped and turned. Not great. He continued to swim. Is he being trailed? No. We'll trail him. As he swam through the ocean, he proceeded to feel it. They were following him. Hunting him. Okay. Hunting. Oh, nice. He processed the thought. Okay. Monsters proceeded to come out the woodworks from seemingly under the Earth's surface and crust. Seemingly they somehow just pop into existence. He's heard whispers about like some sort of ancient inner hollow world that looked pretty much had radioactive levels similar to how the Earth used to be in its prehistoric era. But he really, really didn't want to believe that. Because if that was true, then that would be a lot more easier. So you have to understand. And then the bigger question would be, how would you get to there? As he continued, he proceeded to feel the pressure building. It was hunting him. Oh, great. They were watching closer now. The moment he dived a little bit deeper, he proceeded to dive. The water is getting slightly darker. This was starting to become a little bit of a nuisance. That's when they sprung. So they sprung an attack. In a rush of something crashed into his side. He proceeded to cry out. Bubbles seemed to escape. As he thrashed to gain his balance, he proceeded to look around, looking to see the attacker. It was a streamlined, serpentine-like body. Oh, great. Amanda? No, definitely not Amanda. Scales are too opposite to the color. You proceeded to grab its serpentine-like body as it started to constrict him, wrapping around. Being around, he proceeded to notice them. Purple like blue skin, like scales with blue aquamarine fins. Oh, he knew who this was. From his memories of multiple Godzillas that existed, this one came from a certain universe. Legendaries. Tiamat. He simply snarled, thrashing. He proceeded to rake his claws upon her side. She proceeded to turn, snarling, reaching out, trying to take a bite out of his head. Grabbing her head as she proceeded to chomp, snapping her jaws. All right, time to go. He proceeded to break free, ripping her off of superior brute strength that she couldn't match at all. Grabbing her by her serpentine neck and throwing her. He hurled her through the ocean waters. She proceeded to immediately fix herself as she proceeded to wind up back. Now the real question is, what could she possibly want? There's no real food source, no real place, especially no real energy. Or he could be the food. Maybe he was on the border of her territory. She proceeded to look at him, eyeing him. She waited. Wow, this is perfect. He simply snarled. He had to. Sometimes kaijus don't really give second chances. She proceeded to hiss at him, rushing forward as Izuku proceeded to simply sigh quietly, charging his dorsal plates as they started to glow, glowing a bright blue as he proceeded to charge his atomic breath, firing as the blue ray proceeded to race by, racing through the waters. She proceeded to maneuver over it. He proceeded to use it instead of trying to cut her, or burn her, just to use it to keep her at a distance. Every time she got close enough to reach him, he would bring it a lot closer. She proceeded to swim away. Not long, she noticed this little game. She proceeded to hiss out. "You're stalling," she simply said, speaking in this kaiju or monster-like language. It was international to all type of kaijus, no matter what. Mutants, titans, kaijus, doesn't matter. He simply snarled, "I have no quarry but to fight with you. You're the one who attacked me. And you're the one who's a beacon of energy. It would be good to take your place and use you, feed off of you. Huh, really now? He simply prepared himself. She said all he needed to know. Food source. He simply snarled. She proceeded to snarl back. She rushed forward as Zuka proceeded to swim forward also. He swung in a charge. They clashed yet again. He used his claws to grab her, but biting upon her side. She screeched out as proceeding to finally using her ability. She manipulated the water around him into a typhoon. As he proceeded to spin, as he was launched away several meters, he proceeded to fix himself slowly and sluggishly and really rookily. She proceeded to rush forward. He proceeded to wait. Using his long tail, he proceeded to smack her, hitting her as she proceeded to get the strong blow. It struck her head, her shoulder, hearing a sickening pop sound, dislocation. She proceeded to hiss out sound, looking at her. King. She proceeded to scowl, seeing one of her bones was dislocated at least. She simply hissed at him. She proceeded to swim off, deciding to let him go. He wasn't worth it anyways. We really have to learn how to control the strength. Because I can easily just tear through a lot of things. And that second thing he had problems with, being something so large and baseline was hard. Having a human body was understandable, easier. Because with a quirk, it's like an on and off switch. But this is not on and off. This is actually his normal strength. It's superhuman, supernatural, beyond supernatural, but it's his regular strength. And it's hard to think that he can't really turn it on and off. Something that would seemingly be easy as for a human to pick up a cup, he would pick up a giant cup and cause several damages to the surrounding area. Really something that he needs to learn how to control. He swimming off on the opposite direction. Can't allow Tien to get ahead of him, nor will he allow that to happen again. He proceeded to the surface, just the water skimming, allowing his dorsal plate to skim. He felt something off, wrong. A part of him felt disgusted. He heard something. It was a call from another kaiju? No, Titan. He paused, listening to it. It was familiar to his ears. Well, to his nature as a monster, but not to the soul of Izuku Midoriya. His blood called to it. Not to synchronize with it, but to completely eradicate it for some strange odd reason. He felt himself stiffen. Whatever this was not good. The call was familiar. It was a screech of one thing. He couldn't tell what it is, but somewhere within his mind, the Godzilla aspect, the ancient form of radiation, or more likely the concept of it proceeded to give him a mental image. The avatar is showing him one thing. It was not an image, but it was a thought, a word. Mate? A mating call. Okay, why did that bother him? You see the processing this information. Mating call. He allowed the mating call to continue going on. And then his blood ran cold when something else responded to it, similar but different. Those mating calls were familiar, not to Izuku Midoriya, but to the nature of what he was, a predator. In a cycle of predator and prey that can be simply reversed. Memories flash within his head from Titanus Gojira, a seemingly titan from a universe called the Monsterverse that had one thing on this thing that it showed him repeatedly. Bug-like creatures that seemingly reproduced through monsters. Once they reproduced, they laid eggs within them. And like grotesque xenomorphs, they fed on the energy and the flesh of the kaiju. And once they hatch, they'll rip out from the dead kaiju's corpse, sustaining their hunger for anything else. That's when you realize they were called mutos. Those parasitic things. One thing that he knew that he had to do, he had to fight them. If they bred, that would be a problem, wouldn't it? To them, they could lay, hundreds of hatchlings? And those hundreds could become thousands. And those thousands can become 10,000s. He knew that he had to seemingly stop this by taking the two out. Or taking one of them out. It didn't matter who, but it just mattered he needed to take it out. But killing is not something that he really liked to do. To kill something unintentionally was grotesque. Could he bring himself to tear them apart? To intentionally rip and strip a life from another? He proceeded to swim forward. When processing the thought. Could they be reasoned with? Izuku Midoriya, you thought that they can probably be reasoned with for the aspects of Godzilla. What he was said no. Seemingly, even this current aspect of him that was in control, it whispered, not mentally, not with words, but a part of him that took shape in that part of it whispered to his head, telling him, no, they cannot be talked to. They cannot be reasoned with. They are predators. They are prey. They are parasites. They feed on other monsters to sustain their own race, their own will. Could he go out of his own way to take a life? He couldn't know. He didn't tell. But if he allowed them to breed, they would have caused problems. And those problems would affect everybody else. And that effect would affect the world. And then that would affect innocent people. Humanity. And that's when he realized this is what that entity was telling him about. Or that cosmic entity of radiation that took shape of Godzilla. Or the concept of it. It told him that he needed to be a protector, a balance, to bring balance to force. if you need to become the destroyer, a destroyer of worlds, or a god of destruction, or whatever, for being terrifying force of nature, he will. He should. And if he needed to ever be a protector, a balance of peace, a hero, he will. And he should. He's supposed to be both of both. He's supposed to be both of both worlds. But the problem is he didn't want to kill. Heroes don't kill. All Might never killed. His life was different. That sacrificial whole thing of him blowing up, that was the last chance that he got. Killing himself in Shigaraki, that was an accident. Shigaraki wasn't supposed to die. He was supposed to survive, live happily. But that was taken away when they betrayed him. But this was different. This was intentionally ripping the life out of somebody else. Going out of your way to hurt them, bring pain to them, and rip the life out of their body. He can't do that. That goes against everything he was ever told, taught, and preached, and all of his morals. But then, yet again, there's all the evidence that said these things are bad. Seemingly, even in the Monsterverse, another parallel universe, seemingly that was given to him for all the amount of information he needed, these things are parasites. And they killed, in that universe, plenty of kaijus and monsters. And species of, well, I guess the Godzilla species in general. That were simply living. They might have been bad, but no one deserves to have their life taken away. Right? He had a flash of memory of what would happen if they ever did breed. They bred, things would go bad. They'd hatch, rip out, then they would spread to everyone, to everything. Every monster would die. And then they'll be the only things on top. Parasitic creatures that would proceed to destroy everything. Humanity wouldn't be safe. And if anything, they would be killed, used, and absorbed. And then that would bring horror and treachery and death to everything on the planet. Then it just became a possibility of the final blow. He's the only one who can do it. He has to be the one to deal with this. To kill another life. He swam. He continued to swim. His mind was processing. The Godzilla aspect of himself was telling him to go. Kill, burn, destroy, and do. The Izuku aspect wanted to save. He was fighting himself. There was fighting going on with himself. He couldn't choose. He didn't know what to choose. Could he? A few hours would go by. He arrived to where the call was coming from, the Mount Mudo. He was seemingly at Hawaii. To why, he did not know. He proceeded to arrive. Arriving at an airport, he proceeded to make landfall. Stomp. Was the moment meant that the two met eye contact. It was on. He was large, bug-shaped, maybe about 80 to 90 meters in height. Wingspan, over 100 meters at least, or about 100 meters. Pretty large. Bug has an exoskeleton-like armor. Definitely interesting. Thin organs. These are definitely in the underbelly. and that exoskeleton is more thicker on his back upon his upper body. So you should probably go for the weaker side, the lower bits, where all the softer exoskeleton would be. He analyzed the creature. Everything was said and done. As he made the lumbering step forward, the creature proceeded to roar out. He proceeded to fly up. No words were needed. His idea was one thing: kill, use possibly for food source for the children and himself and his mate, and that was it. There was no reason with it. It didn't even try to talk to him. It opened its jaws wide, flying down as it proceeded to slam into him. He didn't budge. He grabbed it with his claws. It proceeded to squabble for a bit. He threw it. It proceeded to recover for pretty quickly flying. Okay? It has fast recovery time. So actually doing some real damage on it might not be very easy. He proceeded to swipe at it, swiping as it proceeded to dodge, proceeding to aim for his neck. It bit down, looking for a subconsciously of information of gills. But there were no gills on him. He was not legendary Godzilla. His form was Heisei Godzilla, and Heisei did not have gills. So luckily, no weak points. The only weak point that he probably had was his lower brain. But that would have to be pierced. And he didn't have the evolutionary knowledge to know that, does he? Giving him a strategical advantage. He grabbed him, pulling him back. He proceeded to reach out, crying. He's slamming his heightened claw-like hooked into his frontal body. He proceeded to throw him down, trying to crush him with his clawed foot. But he was able to skimmy away like a cockroach. Oh, okay, now I can understand why legendary Godzilla find these guys such annoying pests. They don't die so easily. He proceeded to snarl, finding it annoying. This thing. Great. It was a bigger problem than he thought it was. It proceeded to immediately stop. They both heard a call from, oh God, the female. Her call was to call for the male, a mating call. She responded to his mating call. Crap. Thought there was just one of them. One of them was already bad enough. But two? This is not going well at all. This is terrible. The male immediately responded. He proceeded to immediately disengage with him. Izuku proceeded to try to follow. Hey, you son of a bitch, get back here. He tried to follow, but he was too slow. His body wasn't built for speed. Well, majority of Godzillas are not built for speed. They're way too big. Except for a certain few, but that's different. They can at least trot or do a fast trot. Seeing this, as he flew off, he scowled. Crap. There's only a few things that this thing's actually going to probably do. 1, find a food source for the female. 2, do it. 3, protect the nest. Okay. He proceeded to head back to the ocean. Heading back as he dived. The real question was now, where is the female? He tried searching her out. She was in the States. Okay, that narrows it down. But where would she lay the nest? She was making her way towards the male. Seemingly they were, oh crap, heading towards Japan. God damn it. He really didn't want to head towards Japan for a reason. But I guess it didn't really have him any choice, did it? He proceeded to ponder. This was bad enough. To head towards Japan? Okay. Japan. They might lock there or several other places. Who knows? But he just needs to cut at least one of them off from getting there. If he can at least cut one of them off, fight them, heck, maybe even do enough damage to one of them, maybe even the female. He should probably go after the female. She's probably will be the one going to be carrying the eggs. Of course she is. She's a female. Right. Go after the female, damage her enough, and sadly hurt her enough to where she can't have the eggs, making it impossible for them to lay them. Then problem solved. Or would it be? They can heal, right? He didn't really know. It was already bad enough. He continued to swim. His mind was racing. They could heal, or could they not heal? He didn't really want to question that thought. As he continued making his way forward, he swam through, taking his time. A few hours would go by. He was closing on Japan's waters. He could sense them already there. The moment he can already feel it. Something made him feel more anxious than earlier. They were breeding. Oh, great. And it doesn't really take long for those pests to mate and procreate and then lay. It doesn't really take very long. If anything, it accelerates with a threat. And that threat is him. This is actually more dangerous than he originally thought it was. He proceeded to pick up the pace. Okay. This was bigger issue than before. Alright. So, think Zuku. Think. The male will definitely be guarding. No doubt there. Think about animalistic natures and instincts. He'll guard. But I should probably go after the female in the nest. If she already laid the eggs. But should I go after the male? He could probably be the biggest hindrance and the real crutch within their team. He's a flyer. If you remember correctly from Titan's Godzilla memories from the Legendary Universe, the female was a ground type, or didn't really fly. They had more of a bulky physique, still bug-like, but bulky and larger. They're more able to face bigger kaijus head on. Yeah. I should probably take care of the male or the female, whoever I come at first. He proceeded to notice the male flying. He was flying over, and he saw a nuclear submarine in its mouth. Oh, great! This is bad enough. Yeah, that's not good. The nest. Oh, no. No, sir. Okay. Think smart. I could probably go in charging, but then I'll alert both of them. Should he try to pick them off one by one? That would be easier, right? But how is he supposed to pick them off one by one if he's a large, big thing? He's not really built for stealth. Maybe you can take upstream from the ocean to the river. For sneak up from behind, from wherever they are, they laid the nest. Ideal. So let's do that. He proceeded to do that. So diving, seeing one of those, a river. He took it upstream. Luckily, Japan had many rivers that led to the ocean. Luckily. As he surfed through the ocean water, it became a narrow canal, simply too shallow to really swim through. He rose as seeing the tower over. The twilight sky was becoming dark. The sun was setting. At least night would proceed to give him a little bit of a camouflage. The only thing that really give him popping out would those nice white silver dorsal plates. Sword plates with a black pattern within them. But if anything, you should be just fine. He saw through the hilltops and the mountains, seeing small villages. They were panicking, crying out. Oh, that's not good. It doesn't matter. He stomped through. He needed to get there fast. He smelled the air. Oh, their smell's wretched. A part of him hated that smell. Definitely the Godzilla part. From which Godzilla, he didn't know. He proceeded to move forward. The ground crunching and stomping under his feet and leaving deep ingraves in the ground of his large clawed-like feet. He moved. As the sun went down and twilight proceeded to settle in. When he arrived at a certain prefecture of Kuo, that's where they laid. Okay, not bad. Not too bad at all. At least that was the best place. Certain parts of the city was clearly damaged. But you know what? That's fine. That is fine. It gives him a chance to hunt down one of them. He looked. He wanted to sneak up on one of them at least. If he can sneak, then he can do some real damage. Okay. Alright. He proceeded to sense out. Setting up for the male and female. The male was flying over. He was nearby the nest. And the female was at the nest. Hunched over, and then that's when his instinct spiked. He felt a snarl rip through his jaws. His fangs and teeth. Oh, great. She already laid the eggs. His instincts were screaming at him, telling him to go in there and literally light up the whole prefecture if he had to. Which that would kill several thousand people. So no, he couldn't do that. He thought. Really processed the thought. Okay? He could get a jump on the female, but the male's right next. So would it just be better to just try to divert the male from away? You'd think it would be better. He proceeded to make his way through the city. People were already panicking, and when they saw him through the night sky, that was already bad enough. One cried out Godzilla, and several other people ran. As his tail proceeded to smack into a building sign, he proceeded to sip his scowl at that, seeing it. Oh, come on. Again? He sipped his scowl, sighing. It doesn't matter. Focus, Izuku. We have a bigger problem. As he continued, then And then he saw it. The male saw him. His head proceeded to turn towards the sound that he felt, sound that he heard, and then he roared. Well, there he is, all alert. The female is currently occupied with the nest. Let her lay the eggs. Gives me the time to take out her mate. Okay. Good enough by me. He simply snarled, roaring out his own cry. It was powerful, loud, and aggressive. He never sounded this aggressive before. That Godzilla part's really acting up. He proceeded to move forward, charging. Surprisingly, it was a decent amount of speed. How was he moving this fast? Something as large as him shouldn't... Alright. He forgot. He shouldn't even exist. But you know what? I think gravity just signed out for the night. He charged forward, rushing, stomping through, bringing down several buildings around him. His tail whipped about, slamming into anything that was remaining, and he left or not pulverized. The male proceeded to dive, crashing into him. He skidded back several meters, but then stomped forward. He bit down upon his shoulder. He cried out in pain. Oh yeah, much better. He proceeded to push through. He sinked his hook-like claw into his shoulder. He snarled at the feeling him scratching. He was slightly digging into his scaled hide. He threw him off, allowing him to fly away. He simply landed upon a building that could support his weight. Looking at the high-rise building, he proceeded to scowl, snarling as the two rows of teeth upon his top and jaw proceeded to show. No more games now. Real combat. And this is a life and death situation. If he can at least incapacitate one of these guys, that would be nice. Maybe he doesn't have to kill this thing. It proceeded to fly up, flying towards him. He proceeded to roar out, roaring as crashing into it. Yet again, it sinked its hooks into him again, using its wings to try to push him. It had pretty strong wing strength. It was slightly pushing him back. He took a step forward, lumbering, pushing against the male, but definitely did not have the brute strength between the brute strength. Definitely a support. He pushed him down. He crashed onto the ground. He was about to lift his leg up to crush his chest. At least that would give him enough time to pause. But before he can do that, the female proceeded to crash into his side. He stumbled back several feet, losing his balance and crashing down, pulverizing several buildings. As dust proceeded to rise, an explosion rocked several areas. The female proceeded to check on her mate. This was bad. Okay. Now I see why legendary Godzilla didn't really want these things mating, nor did he want them together. They're a problem together, and probably going to be a really big hassle. He got up, getting up slowly as rising. See the snarl. As moving his head through the smoke, seeing them, he glared. Oh yeah, no. These bastards, they're gonna be a hard duo, aren't they? Okay. The male proceeded to set off, flying. That's a problem. He charged at the female. She proceeded to charge also. She charged right into him, using his superior limbs and his larger arms. He grabbed her by the neck, pushing her back and instinctually biting upon her shoulder. Doing that as he continued, she proceeded to try to use her limbs, hook-like limbs, trying to support her weight as he pushed her, but those buildings crumbled down by the force. She fell back on her back, her exposed underbelly being shown. And those hideous eggs. She was more vulnerable now. Of now just laying eggs. Good. Very good. If he can take care of these guys, then he can really take care of the nest. But then he was shot by something. Several tanks shooting at him. They shot at him, his upper body and his face. He snarled, turning towards them, roaring at them as they think, are these guys serious right now? They're attacking me when there's a parasitic mating duo that are literally about to create hundreds of babies. Ugh. They're the invaders, not me. The male proceeded coming in. He grabbed him, using his claws, hooked by claws, to sink into his upper body. He felt the claws pierce his flesh. He roared out in pain, being dragged. Oh crap, not this. This was kind of familiar. Oh yeah. This was happening to legendary Godzilla, wasn't it? This is not good. He found himself losing balance, crashing down again. Ugh, gravity. This is the worst time to come and play. He was trying to get up, but then saw the female with the male. They started their joint attack. Using her claw, she proceeded to slam him down to his body. Her claws are definitely a lot sharper. They ripped into his side, exposing his seeing the inside muscle tissue. The male came down, crashing upon his side of his back. They continued this doubling on him, crying out in pain. This was not good. Several hours earlier, if you asked Issei Hyodo what he thought of his day, it could have gone better. Having a tough and understandingly really, really bad, interesting life that's happening not long ago, he was a normal human. But then he was asked on a date by a girl named Yuma. She was important. The very thing that was now his star. Then she killed him. She was a fallen angel. And then Issei was thrust into the supernatural. Quite an introduction, right? Yeah. And before he knew it, someone saved his life. A girl named Rias Grammary, crimson beautiful red hair, bluish turquoise eyes like the sun. Or not the sun, but the ocean, the sky itself. And a body like none other. And then he became a devil. Yeah, that's not the best. It's kind of one of the terriblest what the fuck moments that he's ever had in his life. Then the things just kept going. He became a devil, started doing contracts, met a nun girl named Azia, and then got stabbed again, tried to save Azia, failed, then she was reincarnated as devil as well, saved his master from a marriage that she didn't want to be in, and now he's dealing with, well, exorcists and stuff like this. This is exactly not how he wanted it. And now he was being spanked. This is not supposed to be a kink. It wasn't bad. If he wasn't getting spanked and seeing it, he would find it really, really attractive with his master doing the spanking. But being on the receiving end of it, not really positive. But when you know of the next moments, you hear there are kaijus coming to Japan. It was not your process thought. Two ugly looking like bug monsters. They weren't ugly, but they were definitely weird looking. Jet black bugs, glowing orange like reddish, just visor like eyes, coming over and seemingly making a home in the middle of Kuo Town was not his night. He was already dealing with bad stuff. Got spanked, saw freed Selzen, saw the governor, a cadre of one of the leaders of the fallen age of the Grigori, and now there's this. Huh. Yeah. What the fuck was he supposed to do? And now, Japan's Godzilla defense force was now seemingly reacting to this new threat. G-Force. To be more precisely, the once Kaiju Task Force, but now called G-Force. Related to Kaiju phenomena and Godzilla events. With the help of Monarch and several other Kaiju organizations. These things were called Mudos, supposedly. And they're making a fucking nest in Kuo. He had a glance at the female. She was carrying eggs. And eggs meant babies. Babies meant more. And now, supposedly, Rios has been given the order of helping the task force stop the two monsters. Yeah. He proceeded to raise his hand, asking, so, question. As every devil in the peerage, along with Sona's peerage of the student council, proceeded to look at him. So, we're supposed to face these giant-ass monsters that are literally in the middle of Kuo Town, and we're supposed to deal with them? Okay. So how do we deal with these monsters? Because if I remember correctly, these are titans, not kaijus. Still similar, not mutants, but still similar. And I remember titans, kaijus, and mutants, they're all invulnerable to military weaponry and casual weaponry. What are we gonna do? We're gonna go destroy the nest, Rios says simply. Oh, that's easy. How do we do that? I'm pretty sure Mama Bear over there is not gonna allow us to get close. As Issei said sarcastically. Saji proceeded to put a hand upon his friend, saying, oh, don't worry. We'll get through there, right? Prez? Looking at Sona, she proceeded to go quiet, thinking. There's a few ideas we can do. We can probably work with the G-Force without expose us to them. And that's the last thing we need. Rios proceeded to nod. We have to think smart about this. They're parasites, as Zenobia simply said. Parasites are not allowed to be here. They're not made by God. They're creatures from the deep parts of hell. No offense, as Issei simply says, but they're monsters. They didn't come from hell, nor are they a part of the supernatural. They just appeared. Yes, this is kind of shocking. Out of everything that the world seemingly understands in response to monsters, how can I see this be laugh quietly? Her Murph finding this all funny. It's interesting how the supernatural and the monsters seem so close but yet so far. Don't get me started. He says, but really, how are you supposed to get through them? That Muto things are not just gonna let us get into the nest. And even if we did blow it up, they would still reproduce. He does have a point. As Sasha simply says, they've been trying to attack these things for a while now. G-Force and Monarch hasn't really been, nor the military hasn't really been able to scratch them. Well, you could probably do it, Kiba simply says, but it's probably unlikely you can probably really give them any damage. Rios proceeded to say, this is something that we don't really have much information on. Even my brother said that if we don't really have any sort of power over them, we can't summon them away, nor can we command them to leave. And exposing us to them in the world is a bad call. We should do something else entirely. We can't just destroy the nest. It says, if we destroy the nest, that'll piss them off. And if that pisses them off, that causes more damage and more death. As Issei Super says, no offense, but let's not piss off the two huge-ass monsters. Capiche? Konoko proceeds to say, what, are you afraid? Hell yeah, I'm afraid. This is different from anything else we ever felt before. This is not fighting like devils. These are actual monsters. The same ones from ancient times. From the 1950s. The ones that seemingly have the ability to level city blocks easily. Am I the only one that's worried? You're not the only one that's worried, Issei, Sona simply says. But we don't really have a choice. We either fight or we sit down and roll over. And we're not going to do that, Rios simply says. So we have to fight. We're really proceeding to speak. So what do? Damaging them is risky enough. Taking out the nest would be the best idea, but he does have a point. That will just make them angry. Akuno proceeds to say, we could try to summon them away. Really? You can try to summon them away? Tsunove proceeded to think about it. Could you really make a summoning circle that big to summon something that big to summon it away? They proceeded to thinking about it. There's times where we could, but the likelihood might not be logical. True. Yeah, they were screwed. We can't fight back. We can't really reveal ourselves. And there's no real way to take these guys on. So what do? There's not much we can do. We just have to leave it to the human military and G-Force. Hopefully that them and Monarch can figure something out. This is when Sona Persino walks beside Rios. What are you thinking about? If the world knew about the supernatural, we would have easily been able to help. But I know that's risky on its own. Yeah, it's a risk. But we can't really take that risk. But can we? This is our territory, Sona. And it's getting destroyed by those things. She proceeded to point to the two Mutos in the distance as they carved through the city. We can't really just sit here and watch. She simply understood. I understand where you're coming from, but if we just sit back and watched, what will? It's the best thing we can do. But you want us to fight. Fighting seems like the best option. Okay? We try attacking the Mudos, we expose ourselves. If we attack the nest, that's the way to keep us. It will be a way to keep us away from G-Force and everybody else and keep the secret, the supernatural. But we risk angering the two parents. Both ideas are bad on their own, and both have consequences. We don't really have any other choice. But then the news proceeded to come on with an emergency report of another monster coming towards Japan. Oh great, another one, Rhea simply says. And the news feed shows an infamous one. Everyone's eyes widen, recognizing those who recognize the monster. Issei's eyes bulge, proceeding to point at Godzilla. Godzilla, Rhea simply says. This is when Ozzy Epstein asks, "Who's Godzilla?" She simply says, questioning everyone. To no Epstein scowl, Godzilla, the supposed king of monsters. The very thing that caused calamity. And seemingly the most infamous monster. Oh shit. As Issei simply says, "Oh, we're fucked. Oh, we're so fucked." Sergeant proceeded to say, "Relax. What's wrong? I don't think you understand. If he's coming, shit's already over. But I guess we don't have to panic. Maybe he's here to fight them. Maybe he's here to deal with them, and after they go down, he'll probably go around, destroy a couple buildings, cause a little damage, and return back to the ocean." Marius proceeded to looking at Issei. "You don't seem to have very confidence in this." "No. It's already bad enough with two monsters, but now there's another one coming. And he's a bigger threat than both of them combined." They proceeded to watch the feed as watching the monster get closer and closer to Kuo. He was coming from, not from the bay, but from the other side through the mountain range. Does it mean, or does it seem like he's sneaking up on them? As Sashi simply asked. "That's very true," Sona simply says. Momo proceeded to look. "If I'm correct, he seems to be planning something." Kiba proceeded to wonder. Maybe a coordinated strike? Konoko proceeded to say, "No, he's hunting them." Everyone proceeded to turn towards her, confused. "What do you mean he's hunting them?" Rhea simply says. "You can tell in his posture. He's hunting them. He's deliberately hunting them, seemingly planning out. I can tell by his tail, the way it's poised, the way he's moving. He's trying to stay as quiet as possible. He's hunting them." Now I think about it, he does look like he's hunting. Okay, Sachi simply says, he's hunting. He's hunting the Mutos? That's the only real reason. Sona simply says, and it makes the most sense. Okay, but why? Why would he hunt the Mutos? What did they do to him? She proceeded the question. My brother's information, along with stuff from Monarch, says that he's an ancient predator, she simply says. Huh? Sona proceeded to nod. There's some legends saying that Godzilla is an ancient predator to the Mutos. They seemingly have some sort of rivalry or animalistic ancient nature where they're hunting each other's species. And he's the last, and they're the last of each of their species. Oh, so he's hunting his prey? Predator? Both. Oh. Issei proceeded to rub his head. So he's hunting. What happens if he loses? Not much. He dies. And they continue. And then they breed. So that simply says. And that can possibly take over the world. Depends. So we're gonna root for either one of them. This is when Saji proceeded to say, so, who are we rooting for? So I'm gonna root for the big G man. Oh, you're rooting? Ria simply says. Well, obviously. If you ask me, he's the best choice we really got. Issei proceeded to say, so, all money on Godzilla? You can't be serious. As Ria simply says, well, we're gonna have to put our faith in him. And it seems like, just like the rest of us, he don't like them either. So all money on Godzilla. Ozzy proceeded to agree. I say that we put our trust in Godzilla. Maybe he'll come out on top. They proceeded to watch the news feed, and then they would proceed to watch as the monster finally made landfall. He was trying to sneak up on one of them. And then the male noticed, and then they got into combat. The two clashed. But easily the male wasn't able to overpower him at all. If anything, he was losing. Until he got Godzilla, and now, seemingly, the monster was on his side. But he was able to quickly recover and fight back. But then the male proceeded to fly up, crushing the helicopter feed. Well, shit, Issei simply says. They proceeded to watch, looking through the window from the distance. They can see the two monsters. They weren't far from Kill Academy, but they were there, fighting. That's a lot, Ria simply says. They proceeded to watch as Godzilla proceeded to fight. He was now fighting a female Muto. He brought her down, putting his foot on her, but he was quite easily pushed off by the male. And now they were tag teaming him. Oh my god, as Issei simply says, putting his head upon having his head up hurt. He's getting his ass beat, Saji simply says. Yep. He is, Kiba simply says. And he's losing. Wait, Ria simply says. We have a chance. Huh? We take out the nest. We can take out the nest, she simply says. Take out the nest, Issei simply says. How are we gonna do that? We'll blow it up. They'll be more focused on Godzilla. Just gives us a chance to blow up the nest. It's 100% to realize this is our best chance. With one thing taken care of, Godzilla could possibly take care of the other two. I guess so, Saji simply says. You ready, Issei? Issei proceeded to scowl. I don't know about this. This is kind of beyond dangerous. It's kind of crazy. We have one shot, Ria simply says. I guess so. They proceeded to teleport out. Izuku's getting pummeled. This was not fun. The Mutos were beating down on him. He felt more of his wounds open. They were making more and more, and his regeneration was struggling to keep up. As the male proceeded to ready himself, a large explosion was seen. As the explosion was loud, flashy, and destructive, with an energy different from regular military weaponry explosion. The male and female Muto proceeded to turn the direction away from the bar, from the king, toward the nest. They immediately turned, making their way back towards the nest. 1, 2, back to. Yeah, this was ass. Izuku proceeded to notice they're gone to the nest. Best chance to actually recover. His body approaches to stay down, but he knew if he was going to take any chance, he was going to at least having to fight back. He got up slowly, his body aching. All that hurt. His regeneration started to heal. Healing and kicking in. Muscle fibers and tissues regenerated. Knitting back together. And new skin proceeded to heal and knit as he proceeded to get up fully, making his way using the debris and smoke within the air to hide himself. The female motor gave a distressed cry. After he heard that distressed cry of pain, agony, and anguish, there was something going on within him. A part of him felt bad. Like, he wished it didn't really have to come to this. He didn't really like hearing something suffer, even if it deserved it. The hero part of him wanted to help, wanted to give something, but the Godzilla part of him relished the sound. The agony and the anguish, the pain within his voice and his cry. That felt so sweet to hear. He allowed that part of him to relish in the sound for once. Those guys were hammering on him. And maybe for once he'll be the monster. They did use those damn EMPs on him a couple times. He remembered that. Natural predators, so they can probably dampen his atomic breath. Time to test out if it really is dampened. His dorsal plate started to glow. The tips of his tail flashing as the shine proceeded to rise all the way to the top of his spines. As they shine brightly, the female proceeded to notice something. She turned towards the glowing blue light. Then seeing his silhouette as lightning struck the sky, seeing him. Her eyes didn't widen, but her body posture rigided up. Oh yeah, that was fear. He inhaled a large breath and blasted out beam. It was definitely weakened, but definitely not too weakened. The breath proceeded to make contact, pushing her back and causing damage. She proceeded to explode, pushing her back, causing burns. He fired yet again. He was not going to give up until she at least were decently burned or he took off a limb. He allowed it and peppered her with several atomic breaths. The blue beam to push her back, continuing the attack. She was weakened and now on her back. Oh yeah, that's more like it. He had her right where he wanted her. He stalked over to her, ready as he slammed his foot on her chest. She proceeded to cry out in pain. He felt the sickening crack of her exoskeleton starting to break. She didn't have bones, but that sweet sound of that exoskeleton was really cracking. Ew, that felt so good. You know, it felt nice to really, really let the monster free for a little bit. He was ready to simply just maybe just crack her a little bit more. As he continued, the male came upon him. He roared out in pain as the male sinked his hooks into his hips, as pulling him as he cried out in pain. Oh, hell no, this guy's getting so fucking annoying. He struggled and thrashed around. The female was released. She seemed to look at something else and follow it. As she was in a full sprint, she left her mate. Then that means he can deal with him on his own. He grabbed him with his jaws, using him and throwing him off. He felt the sickening feel of his flesh ripping out as he threw him off of him, but the flesh proceeded to knit back together and regenerate. His healing was slowing down a little bit, but you know what? That was fine. As long as he can get this bastard down, that's all that matters. Seeing a high-rise building next to him, he proceeded to notice it. Seeing the Muto flying around and making for a comeback. Oh yeah. This one's going to be more enjoyable. He readied his tail, lifting it up and ready to strike. He swung the tail at full force. No more holding back. He decided to let loose just a little bit. Full strength. Let's see how it looks. Bam! Direct impact. The very building around crumbled as the Muto was impaled through by the building shrapnel, known steel beams. The blow from instantly got him gasps. He gasped out in a wheeze, a hideous whimpering wheeze. And a low cry escaped him, and then his glowing eyes proceeded to dim as he died. Izuka proceeded to breathe heavily. Oh God. That was definitely a lot harder. He took a life. He didn't know how to feel about that. He wanted to knock him out or, send him through the building at least, but he didn't actually want him to die. Did he? But before he can contemplate more, the building behind him started to really fold in on itself and was falling towards him. Oh shit. Oh fuck. He could barely move, really react to the building, and then it crashed down on him, bringing him down as rubble fell, covering him completely. He groaned. Oh, this was painful. Oh. Feeling the pain within his body, the ache, the soreness, it definitely felt painful. But then he remembered, there's one more to go. The female probably can be spared. Maybe, or maybe not. He processed the thought. No, she can't be spared either. He has to deal with her just as well. To save humanity. He pushed himself up, his body protesting, and he felt his pain really sink in. He proceeded to trot his way forward. We're looking for her. She was closer to a school building. Getting closer and closer. Oh, good. Perfect. Just what he needed. She was completely distracted. He made his way forward, stomping. She did not notice. As he continued making his way, it wasn't long before he was right behind her. He attacked, striking at her immediately, not caring anymore. Gripping her, digging his claws into her exoskeleton, and proceeded to creak and crack, lashing his jaws upon her, pulling her away from the school building. Didn't matter, didn't care. Okay, so you can clearly resist semi-atomic breath due to your evolutionary properties from another universe. Somehow, that still relates to this version of myself. But, okay, fine. Very well then. Let's see you take down the throat. It was a gruesome thought, but one that seemed the most liable. He charged his atomic breath, his dorsal plate shining blue. A bright, powerful blue as the power proceeded to increase. Oh yeah, I'm about to rip you completely off your head. He pried her jaws open, blasting the beam down her throat. The breath proceeded to burn and toast everything inside. As immediately, not even a few seconds later, her head spasmed and detached from her body. He stopped the attack. Her neck, the base of her neck, smoking, and her head smoking as well. Her body dropped lifelessly. She barely even tried to fight at all. He gripped her head like a trophy. Okay. Oh yeah. He let out a victory roar. The roar coming out powerful, loud, and proud. You know, the first time he ever fought an actual kaiju battle, and he won. All threats eliminated. Eggs, dealt with. The male and female Mudo, dealt with. He threw the head down, letting it crash upon the ground. That doesn't matter, and I don't care. Izuku proceeded to breathe out. His body was now really, really hurting. And he felt his vision blurring. Oh, hooray. Look what they do. He lost his balance and crashed down, collapsing as he fell unconscious. To what the group of devils saw, literally in front of them, Godzilla just executed the Mudo brutally. As the Titan released his victory roar, and his roar was really loud and painful. And the Monster King dropped the head and wobbled for a bit, and then collapsed. It shook the earth as everything around was literally pulverized. Luckily, the school building was untouched and fine. And he was completely out. Easy proceeded to looking at it as seeing the large monster right in front of him. Is he dead? Suddenly proceeded to looking closely. As she simply shook her head, no. It's not dead. It's still alive. But it's knocked out. Holy crap. Tati proceeded to say, that's Godzilla in front of us. Yes, Risa says, that's Godzilla in front of us. we should probably head inside the school building. You know? Just to be safe, Ozzy says. Right. They proceed to head inside the school building. And they proceed to watch everything. Several G-Force members proceeded to surround the giant kaiju, putting a barrier. They watched this, watching as the monster slept. Everyone thinking that the king of the monsters seemingly fought the two things and died in the process. How nice. So, Ethan Slippy says, big revelation now. That thing battled that, and it won. How did we all think of the fight? Brutality. Sona Slippy says, her voice was lost its usual sharpness than before. Very brutish. Animalistic but intelligent. Its strength is impressive, Rhea Super says. Actually, it's so impressive that it took on both of them. No kidding, Kiba Super says. It completely shattered the male. Arena proceedings to say that tails whip was kind of strong. That male Muto really did get unlucky. It was completely pulverized. And he brought the building down upon him, Zenobia simply says. I thought I would have taken him down at least, but it didn't. No, it did not. He simply says, but hey, look at that. He was alive. He used his whatever breath thing, Ozzy simply says. It couldn't pierce through the female's hide, but it definitely was strong enough to burn through her innards. But why would he do that? I have a feeling that the Muto's hides were a lot tougher than they looked. He came to the realization that he couldn't burn them through completely for the outside. So he ripped her mouth open and burned her literal insides to hell, Ethan simply says. You know, that's actually quite badass. No kidding, Sasha simply says. You know, I should try that sometime. You? Ethan simply says, how would you try that? I don't know. I'll figure it out. I could probably make some sort of unique mouth beam for myself. Or some sort of mouth attack. Makes sense. What was that called? Rhea simply shook her head. Not sure. Akira proceeds to say, that's right. It was a quite nice, good kiss of death, she simply says. Rhea simply sighed. Of course. That was a perfect name for it. It got you all pent up, didn't it? Akira proceeds to smile. Pent up's not even a good word, Rias, as she simply says. Everyone proceeds to shudder. Well, that's nice. But what are we supposed to do now? We have a giant monster in front, and he's currently taking a nice, quite long nap. Taji proceeded to rub his chin. True. But maybe instead we can probably go to the Cato school. True, Rias says. So are we just gonna magically fix the buildings, or not all of them? Rias says we're gonna fix majority of them, but we are gonna erase some of the humans' memories, especially about the bomb one. They're gonna be suspicious how the how the nest exploded. So let's mutilate their memories for the nest. Yeah, we'll do something about that. Making them think that it was them who did it. Okay. Right. Seems like a good idea. The next day, Izuku groaned. He was tired and he was quite in pain. He opened his eyes slowly. He looked with his eyes, looking around. Where was he again? He saw the sun, sky. But he could not. Oh, okay. Now everything's coming back now. He remembered. Oh yeah, he had a total showdown. How nice. He got up. He started to get up slowly. Everyone around him proceeded to back up. He proceeded to get up to his full height. He slightly groaned. The groan coming out more as a growl. Okay. I'm a little bit exhausted, and I'm tired. And I'm starved. Literally. He proceeded to turn his direction away. He could use some food. That could be nice. He turned away, but stopped when he sensed something. Something was interesting. He couldn't tell what they were, but they were definitely there, but in the crowd. It didn't really matter to him right now. He turned away and stomping out. As he stomped his way towards the bay, he just really hoped that none of them attacked him right now. Fighter jets were flying over and tanks ready to aim, but they allowed him to continue making his way through. At least they were actually allowing him to leave. They're being actually convenient of him. How nice of them. Good enough by now. Maybe they actually understand that he's not here to hurt people. It all depends. Izuku proceeded to finally arrive at the bay. Taking the first step into the ocean water. The bay of the waters, as he proceeded to take another step, walking, and then when he got deep enough, pushed off and allowing his body to lower as he proceeded to surf through the waters. Slowly, he proceeded to swim, picking up pace as he swam faster. He proceeded to dive, submerging, as he disappeared from the face of the world to the underwater depths. He swam, and he swam further and further from Japan. He proceeded to give out a breathless sigh. He needed to find a good place to sleep. He pushed off, thinking, what could possibly he could do now? What were those stings? They were definitely weird. Strange, but definitely weird. You figure it out later. He read out of a pocket not far from Japan. Far. Nicely close. He lay down next to the open volcanic pocket, releasing a steady amount of radiation. How nice. He laid down on the seafloor bottom, closed his eyes, and slept as he absorbed the energy. This is better. Back within Kuo, Japan. Everything was being processed. Civilians being completely mind erased. The military having their memories altered that they were the ones who did the strike upon the nest. Everything was now fine. Peace was peaceful, and a good chunk of the buildings were back. Damage was recovering, and now the world knew of Godzilla's return. Issei proceeded to tap his foot upon the floor. So now that we're back here, we can actually focus on the new problem of Kokubile and whatever he's planning. Rias proceeded to simply nod. For now, we actually can probably do that. If there is. But it all depends. Let's hope he's not an actual too big of a threat for Godzilla to come back. Why? What's up? Rias proceeded, looking at her peerage. I had a feeling, or it's a bad feeling, that he could sense us, Rias simply says. Everyone in the room proceeded to pause. Are you kind of being, really funny, Bucho? You're joking. She proceeded to look at Issei. Her eyes narrowed. Do I look like I'm joking? No, you're not. Okay, he responded. It's not bad, right? I guess for now. He's not bad, but nor is he an ally, nor is he an enemy. He's an unknown variable. Ozzy proceeded to say, could we really trust him? Or more likely, maybe if we could find a way to show that we're not threats. Cuba proceeded to walk in, still being sketchy about the Exorcist, but he decided to put that on hold for now. I looked for Kokubile and Freed. They're nowhere to be found. If anything, they seem to be in hiding after the whole kaiju showdown. Does this put back Kokubile's little ambition? Maybe for a few hours, but it doesn't seem like it. Free could be on the move, and Kokubile's not someone that would wait around very long. Akno proceeded to nod. He's a warmonger. He won't sit around and wait forever. Just a mighty kaiju battle that he saw will get his blood pumping to execute his plan quicker. Ruiz proceeded to nod. Trill. He wanted to sit around while that epic battle just happened a few hours ago. If anything, he'll be more interested in doing it. What did your brother say about the whole thing that happened? He said things went well. We all did well. And we're having to now deal with new problems. And finding solutions to deal with the kaijus if necessary. Dealing with the monsters? If necessary, Ryusuke says. But his greatest concern is that Kuo hasn't been fully destroyed and leveled. Well, thanks to Godzilla, we are all alive, as he says. As long as he doesn't go all disaster on us. Cuba proceeded to say, for now. Yeah, you're right. For now.